What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I want to talk to you guys about the brand new Aprilia RS 660 that just came out and I just recently reviewed. Make sure to go check out that video after you finished watching this one. But today I want to talk to you guys about who the Aprilia RS 660 was made for, and who would enjoy it the most and who wouldn't enjoy the motorcycle. The reason why I'm creating this topic is because a lot of you had questions in the comment section of that video. A lot of you were wondering if you should get the ZX6R, the R6, you're coming from a Daytona. Hopefully this video will answer some of your questions that you might have about the bike. Alright, let's get going. Man, it is such a beautiful day today, but it is butt cold. I started the day off and it was about 55 degrees, and I had to stop off a couple of times just to get warmed up. But right now it's about 63 degrees and it's getting warmer every single hour, which is great. It's rare that it's this cold in San Diego. But anyways, the topic at hand, the Aprilia RS 660. Man, it is such a charming motorcycle. It's a motorcycle that has been very, very highly anticipated, and a lot of people are looking forward to getting their hands on it. But it's a motorcycle that is kind of unusual because it's a relatively small displacement motorcycle with big performance electronics and equipment, so it leaves you scratching your head. A lot of people are wondering what to think of it, including myself, to be honest with you. I really don't know which category the RS 660 fits into. It's a 600 class motorcycle, but you can't fit it in the same class as a Yamaha R6 or a ZX6R or a Daytona, because those motorcycles, although they may be around the same CC ranges or displacement ranges or whatever you want to call it, they're completely different motorcycles. They ride completely differently. They deliver power completely different. There's nothing that is quite like the Aprilia RS 660. And this is what's scratching everyone's head these days, wondering which route they should take, because honestly, this is a confusing time for a lot of motorcyclists. So, first of all, I want to tell you who the RS 660 is not meant for. The RS 660 is not meant for the guys who have been riding for 3 to 5 years or longer. And it is not a motorcycle for anyone who's riding very big displacement bikes such as the S1000RR, the Ducati V4S, even the V2 for that matter. These are motorcycles that have a lot of power. So if you're just used to riding these kind of bikes and then you're entertaining the idea of getting something different, then the Aprilia RS 660, although it might be a great motorcycle, it's probably not going to quench your thirst and you might not be satisfied riding it. Now, if you're fortunate enough, like my buddy Chris, to own so many different bikes, and you know what? On Monday you want to have the RS 660, on Tuesday you want to have the Yamaha R6, on Wednesday you want to have your Daytona 675 or 765 or whatever it is, and on Friday you want to get on your Street Fighter, and then on the weekends, just the cruising days. So you're going to take your BMW R18 and cruise with it because you're just so tired of riding all these crazy sport bikes in the entire week. You just want to chill now. I get it. Damn! Did I tell you how good this bike sounds now with the exhaust? Woo! So, if you're like my friend Chris, who owns the bike, then you know what? Sure, why not? You can afford it, and you just want to experience everything, and that's totally fine. But if you're like the rest of us chumps, myself included, and you're only able to afford 1 or 2 bikes, for most people it'll be just one, then the RS 660 should be something that you should tread carefully towards, because it's not exactly a beginner motorcycle, but it's not exactly a motorcycle that's meant for somebody who's very experienced as well. Alright, so now that we talked about who the motorcycle isn't for, let's talk about who should be buying it, who will enjoy it the most, and who it's perfect for. The kind of person that I see enjoying the Aprilia RS 660 the most is the person who's been riding for less than a year. The motorcycle has 100 horsepower and has got somewhere north of 45 to 48 foot-pounds of torque. I don't remember exactly. You can check out my review for all that information. I always talk about in my videos that the first motorcycle that you should buy is something that should be something that's about 50 horsepower or less and less than 400 pounds. And so obviously this doesn't qualify as a first motorcycle. First of all, it costs way too much. It's about $12,000 out the door. You're going to pay about 14 grand. And so for a first motorcycle that you're going to end up dropping or maybe getting into an accident with, it's just not worth buying, and I don't suggest it. So you have about 6 months to a year's worth of experience under your belt. You've taken a few courses, and so the Aprilia RS 660 would be perfect for you. The Aprilia RS 660 has got all the electronics, all the gizmos that are absolutely amazing for someone who's starting to ride motorcycles and has less than a year's worth of experience. It's got an IMU system that enables cornering, ABS, and cornering traction control. Cornering ABS and cornering traction control are absolutely perfect for beginners. And not just for beginners, but for any rider for that matter. It'll keep both wheels on the pavement. So there's definitely lots of pluses and no negatives about it. But the Aprilia RS 660 is a fantastic bike for anyone in that category. So now, here's a different category of people that I want to talk about. People who have a Yamaha R6 or a ZX6R or a Daytona, because these are the same guys who are interested in getting another sport bike. So this topic is going to be divided into two groups of people. The first group of people are people who are just tired of riding sport bikes. Or you're a bit older and you're just not comfortable and probably not in good shape to be riding a motorcycle that is as aggressive as an R6 anymore, and you kind of want to tame it down and relax a little bit. And I get that, totally get that. Appetite for genres and horsepower changes over time, and one day mine will change as well. If your appetite for horsepower and the type of motorcycles that you once enjoyed has changed, and you're interested in getting something that is a bit different than what you're used to, but you don't want to give up riding sport bikes, then in that case, the RS 660 might be a perfect fit for you, because number one, the motorcycle is very, very comfortable. The seat is very plush, the handlebars are higher up, the suspension is very plush. It's almost like sitting on an armchair. It's very comfortable. But at the same time, you look at the damn thing and it looks like it's going 150 miles an hour. It looks very, very fast, and it's got these crazy air ducts that are super slippery when you're riding really fast on the track. And speaking of the track, the bike is begging to be taken to the track and raced. So you're not compromising any raciness, you're not compromising any sportiness, but at the same time you're getting something that is a lot more comfortable to ride on a day-to-day basis. It could potentially be your only bike and you could be fine with it. So if you belong to that group, then definitely I would recommend it. This group that I'm talking about is the group that is a bit tired of riding sport bikes and doesn't necessarily mind compromising the horsepower that they're losing in exchange for something that potentially could be more comfortable and livable on a day-to-day basis. The second category is the kind of person that has an R6 or a Daytona, like I mentioned, or a ZX6R, or wants to get those motorcycles, but is also entertaining the RS 660 because it's the newest kid on the block with the most bling. Well, this is going to be the most difficult decision that you can ever make, because number one, the motorcycle is got the most bling out of all those motorcycles. The Yamaha R6, unfortunately, is a dinosaur. It's discontinued. The motorcycle has not been updated since 2007. It's got the same engine, the same chassis, same ergonomics, but that's because it's unnecessary to change that bike. That bike has only one purpose, and its main purpose is to be taken to the track. Now, speaking of track videos, I have taken it to the track multiple times, and it is a phenomenal bike. If you haven't seen my track videos, you're missing out, so make sure you go check out those track videos to see what the real R6's potential is. I squeezed every single ounce out of the R6, and I can tell you it's a phenomenal motorcycle. But my boys, it's not meant for everyone. The R6 is something that is not for everyone because it is a very aggressive motorcycle to ride, and people who have money for just one motorcycle but want it for all purposes are going to be a little bit disappointed. Yes, it's got a lot of power. Yes, it's got a lot of personality. It sounds amazing, but it's not for everyone. Now, on the other hand, the ZX6R, which is just like the R6, is meant more for the street than it is for the track. The ZX6R was specifically developed for the street first and foremost, and then for the track secondary. If you look at all the AMA races, you're going to notice that the Yamaha R6 has won, I would say, most of them, if not all of them. So the Yamaha R6 is the one that you always see at racetracks, not the ZX6R. The ZX6R is the bike that mostly track enthusiasts take, like myself. I'm a track day enthusiast, I'm not a racer, but that's the bike that I would take. But if I was a racer, my number one choice would be the Yamaha R6. The Daytona falls somewhere in between the Yamaha R6 and the ZX6R. The Daytona is not as aggressive as the R6, but it is a little bit more aggressive than the ZX6R. They all have the same DNA. They're all meant for racing purposes, tracking purposes, but it's not a motorcycle that one can ride all the time and be comfortable with on a day-to-day basis. However, they're very exciting motorcycles, all producing somewhere north of 120 horsepower. And so here's the dilemma. You want to switch your motorcycle from those motorcycles to an RS 660? Well, you can. But the problem with the RS 660 is that although it does weigh about 400 pounds, it only has 100 horsepower. So there's about a 20 horsepower deficit, and when you're riding the bike, you will feel the difference in the power, and you may or may not like it. But if you're one of those people, as I mentioned before, that you're willing to compromise a bit of power for livability, as well as all the new electronics and gadgets and everything else, then that's a bike that you could potentially buy as well. So my suggestion to you is to weigh the pros and cons and go from there. Alright guys, I really hope that this video answers a lot of questions that you've had about the Aprilia RS 660. It's a fantastic bike, but it's not meant for everyone. Some people will like it, some people will just be disappointed by it. And I wanted to be absolutely honest and candid with you guys and give you my final thoughts on it. Stay tuned for the Aprilia RS 660 versus R6 comparison video, which is going to be coming up after this one. And until then, give this video a like and also subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Ciao for now.